You may not have a discipline problem. You may have a future problem. When the life where the language matters stops feeling real, motivation collapses.
If you've ever tried to learn a new language as an adult, you know the exact cycle we're talking about. You start out incredibly strong, then, well, life gets in the way. Your daily study streak breaks, and almost immediately, that familiar, nagging inner voice chimes in, telling you you're just lazy. Today, in this explainer, we're unpacking why that story is completely wrong, and we're going to show you why your dropped streak isn't actually your fault.
So, let's just be totally honest right out of the gate. How many times have you asked yourself this exact question? It is so incredibly easy to brand ourselves as undisciplined. But think about it. We are out here juggling careers, kids, aging parents, personal health. So when your flashcard app gets ignored because you needed to finally get some much-needed sleep, or because you had to finish a high-stakes work project, is that really just a lack of discipline?
See, we constantly confuse the visible symptom of dropping a habit, which is just inconsistency, with a personal character defect. We leap straight to this harsh moral diagnosis, essentially telling ourselves, if I just had more willpower, I'd be fluent by now. But treating a dropped streak like a moral failure isn't just overly harsh. It actually blinds you to how adult learning truly works in the real world. What you see on the surface as a lack of discipline is literally just a symptom. It completely fails to explain why that behavior changed in the first place. Beneath the surface, something in your actual learning system broke down. You didn't just run out of some magical fuel called motivation. What's much more likely is that you suffered a collapsed belief in your own success. Or maybe you subconsciously realized you were chasing a goal you borrowed from someone else. Okay, let's dive into section 1, the real motivation killer.
Adult language goals are surprisingly fragile, and a lot of it comes down to a concept called expectancy value theory. Basically, your brain is constantly automatically negotiating the perceived value of a goal against its immediate costs. The time, the cognitive energy, and let's face it, the sheer embarrassment of trying to speak a new language. Those costs are immediate. You feel them right now, tonight. But the payoff, that beautiful dream of speaking flawlessly abroad, is usually years away. And when immediate costs heavily outweigh a distant payoff, your brain rationally hits the brakes.
And this creates a truly fascinating gap in the research. Imagining your ideal self, that vivid vision of you effortlessly ordering a croissant in a Paris cafe, well, it makes you intend to work hard. But as you can see, researchers found it barely moves the needle on actual objective achievement. And worse, if you're learning out of pure obligation, relying on your ought-to self, actual achievement literally drops to zero. Daydreaming and guilt just aren't enough to carry you through the daily grind.
So for a future identity to actually drive your actions today, it has to be structured a very specific way. Making the future with the language feel vivid, plausible, and close enough to justify present effort is the absolute core of making this work. It can't just be a foggy goal like fluency. It must be a specific, believable scene in your actual life, given your current constraints. The benefits need to be felt in weeks, not years. You have to clearly see how tonight's 15 minutes of flashcards directly builds that reality. Because if the future feels too far away, putting in the effort right now just feels completely irrational to your brain.
Moving right along, let's look at section 2, the fantasy trap. Get ready for a twist, because merely visualizing your success can actually destroy your progress. Researchers Eddingen and Mayer found that while genuine positive expectations drive effort, positive fantasies do the exact opposite. Think about it. If you spend your evening watching YouTube videos of hyper-polyglots shocking locals at coffee shops, your brain gets a premature dopamine hit. You get to enjoy the emotional reward of fluency without ever having to confront the painful reality of conjugating actual verbs. It's a trap. To escape this fantasy trap, your future goal has to create what we call productive tension. You have to take that beautiful fantasy, like speaking fluently with your partner's family, and smash it right against the harsh reality that, right now, you freeze on basic readings. Then, you create a plan to practice just 10 family-related phrases this week. That uncomfortable tension between where you are right now and where you want to be, that is the only thing that will actually get you to open your textbook.
So how do we put this into practice? Section 3, the future relevance loop. This is how we bring that distant future close enough to actually matter today. We use a relevance loop. First, define a vivid scene. Then build a bridge to get there, and set a specific 30-day mission. From there, establish a super low-friction daily minimum, collect weekly proof of your progress, and then simply renew the cycle.
This transforms all that abstract cognitive psychology we just talked about into a concrete, actionable toolkit for your daily routine. Notice how absolutely none of these example missions say become fluent. They are hyper-specific, they're vivid, and they're entirely achievable within a single month. Look at the first one, understanding a 5-minute podcast without subtitles. Doing that generates an immediate, undeniable signal of competence. That quick win proves to your brain that your long-term goal is actually plausible, which gives you the fuel to keep going. If you feel like your routine is failing right now, the first step is to drop the guilt and make a smarter first move. If you're someone who keeps bouncing between shiny new language apps, don't go looking for a stricter app. Just choose one 30-day mission and stick exclusively to the tools needed for that. If the sheer idea of studying exhausts you, don't try to force a grueling 2-hour session. Reduce it, pause it, or redesign the goal entirely, and do it without judging yourself. Which brings us to our final part. Section 4, the role of discipline. So you might be wondering, where does discipline actually fit into all of this? Well, discipline is a fantastic second-stage solution. See, motivation is what helps you decide if a goal is worth choosing in the first place. But volition, which is your discipline, your strict habits, your if-then plans, is what helps that chosen goal survive your bad moods and the daily distractions of life. Basically, discipline can't make a useless goal feel meaningful, but it perfectly protects a goal you already deeply care about. And remember, adults are not failed children. Sometimes pausing a language is a highly rational choice, absolutely not a character defect. If you started learning for a career plan that completely fell through, or you're dealing with immense caregiving stress, the cost of studying has skyrocketed, letting a streak die in those scenarios isn't lazy. It is simply a logical reallocation of your finite time and energy. So, as we wrap up this explainer, I want you to look at your current goals without any judgment. If the future where you use this language still feels vivid, plausible, and close enough to justify the work, awesome, build your loop and get started. But if the goal no longer serves the life you actually live right now, it is completely okay to walk away. Ultimately, the big question is this: are you building habits for the life you think you should have, or the life you actually want?
Want to make the language matter again? Get the full report and the 30-day language motivation reset on Patreon. Link below.